This is Arise America.
In the last 10 minutes, it was revealed US singer R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in jail for running a scheme to sexually abuse girls and women. His sentencing just concluded in Brooklyn federal court. Survivors have told the court of decades of abuse at the hands of the 55-year-old, with some saying he'd imprisoned them and starved them. Well, Arise international correspondent Faith Orr joins us now from Brooklyn, where that hearing has been taking place. Faith, good to see you. Basically, 30 years, that's quite a hefty sentence.
More than prosecutors were looking for. They had asked for 25 years. The defence said that he should serve less than 10 years. But the judge has imposed 30 years. And the judge said it was because there had been decades of abuse. Because, these allegations go back a long, long time. These are not new cases as such. But, the defence did say that it shouldn't be such a long time. The defence has confirmed that they are going to appeal. The defence said because he's not a monster, he is a product of his childhood. They see he was actually sexually abused himself as a child. He was raped by a female family member when he was 8 years old. But the prosecution and the attorneys for the victims, of course, say that this man has imprisoned women, boys, girls, sexually abused them, manipulated them for decades, and it's about time that this justice was served.
Now, you've been outside the court today. I mean, what's the atmosphere been like?
So it was quite surprisingly quiet, actually, because we know that during the trial, lots of his fans had turned up. They was playing the music. They were holding basically a vigil for him during the trial. But in the sentencing, it was really quite quiet outside. There was no fans, there was no atmosphere. Even media really quite thin on the ground, especially compared to how many people were interested in Ghislaine Maxwell's trial yesterday in New York. But actually inside the court was a different story. There was 2 overspill rooms as well as the main courtroom. And in those 2 overspill rooms, they were both packed as well. So lots and lots of people still inside, very interested to see what happens here today. Of course, we have had that sentence in now 30 years. His victims had said that, they just wanted him to pay because they had changed, he'd changed their lives irrevocably. As I said, it went back to 1994, some of the earliest accusations against him in this case. And some of the things, especially regarding, for instance, Alaya, the singer who died in the early 2000s, who he married when she was just 15 because he had her forge an ID, and then they forged the wedding certificate. Effectively, that was annulled. But that's what they're saying. It goes back this far, proven instances of him having sexual intercourse, sexually abusing minors. People say that he imprisoned them in some instances. He starved them. He controlled their lives, and that was all backed up during the trial by his staff.
And as I understand, this isn't the only case that he's facing.
No, it's not. In fact, on August the 1st, he will face another case in Chicago, and that is again similar abuse of minors. He is also facing cases in Illinois and Minnesota, sexual abuse of minors. So there's still quite a way to go here, but as I said, the defence are going to appeal, but that does mean he has all those other cases to face. And as I said, it's because these allegations go back decades, so there's probably still more to come. We know that allegations, lots and lots of allegations, were made against him throughout the years. But the prosecution said that he basically used his talent and his fame to get away with everything. He felt like he was untouchable because he was this huge musical talent. And even though people were complaining about him, nothing was ever done. One of the fathers of the victims actually confronted him in court today, asked him just to look at him man to man. R. Kelly never looked up. In fact, throughout much of the victim's testimony, he stared at the floor. He wouldn't look them in the eye.
Before you go, Faith, obviously the sentencing has just happened minutes ago. Do we know any indication if he will appeal, or is that just waiting to hear from his team yet?
So it's not even just the sentence that they're going to appeal. The solicitors have already said they're going to appeal the conviction. They tried to get it thrown out last night. They asked for an acquittal and a retrial. The judge said that couldn't happen, but he's actually changed attorneys since the trial. The new ones say that the old ones didn't do their job properly, and there's lots of basis for appeal. So they're trying to get the whole conviction thrown out And beyond that, I imagine they would probably appeal the sentence as well if that doesn't work, because they will not think that 30 years is fair. It does go beyond what prosecutors asked for. It goes beyond federal guidelines. But the judge thought it was fair. And right now, that's all that matters.
Well, Faith, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you very much indeed for your analysis. Faith, or Arise international correspondent in Brooklyn.
This is Arise America.